The special meeting will adjourn at 6:41 p.m. and the regular meeting of the City Council will start at 7 p.m. Thank you. Good evening and welcome everyone to the first City Council meeting of 2024. Today is January 2nd, 2024, and the time is 7 p.m. My name is Jane Westman and I am the City Clerk HR Director with the City of Newcastle. I'm calling the meeting to order and will be chairing it until the City Council elects a mayor. I would like to thank everyone in advance for their patience, as there may be a few more pauses than you would normally find at a City Council meeting. Lastly, I would like to add that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the city's YouTube channel. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I will now call the roll. Councilmember Burford, sorry. Here. Councilmember Sherlock. Here. Councilmember Griffin. Here. Councilmember Tallman. Present. Councilmember Lacotia. Here. Councilmember Charbonneau. Here. And Councilmember Clark. Here. All right, we will now proceed with the election of the mayor and the deputy mayor. Council rules of procedure describe this process, and in the agenda packet for tonight's meeting, I included an excerpt from the rules and a summary via the agenda bill. I do not intend to repeat all of that information, but I'd like to remind the council members of a few helpful key points. Number one, all council members are expected to vote tonight. No motion is needed to open or close these nominations. Nominations do not require a second, and there must be a majority vote to elect a mayor and a deputy mayor. Does the city manager or the city attorney have anything you'd like to add? Are there any questions of council before we get started? No? All right. So with that, nominations for the office of mayor are now open.
I nominate Rob Clark for mayor.
All right. Is there any other nominations?
I nominate Ariana Sherlock as the office of mayor.
Thank you. Any other nominations out there? No? All right. All right, so we are going to, since there are no further nominations, the nomination period is now closed. The nominees are council members Clark and Sherlock for the office of mayor. Each nominee will now have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes, to comment. And we will start by position order. So council member Sherlock, you will go first. And I will time you. Oh, well, let me. Is that working now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Burford, for the nomination. I humbly accept. And I believe that I have the skills and experience to be an excellent mayor of Newcastle. If elected mayor, I pledge to be fair, inclusive, and approachable to all of you and the public. The city of Newcastle does not practice the strong mayor form of government, meaning that the mayor is an equal member of the city council and does not hold a lot of executive power. In this system, I believe the main role of mayor is to run our meetings efficiently and fairly, and to be the kind of leader that communicates clearly with the goal of collaboration and consensus as much as possible. I know that I can be successful in these roles. I will utilize my experience in chairing several boards over the years and serving as your deputy mayor the past 2 years. I'm asking for your vote tonight, and I look forward to accomplishing great things for our city together. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Clark.
Thank you, City Clerk. Thank you, Councilmember Griffin, for the nomination. I appreciate it. I've had 4 decades of leadership experience, starting with the military and going right through now for my professional career, where I'm an electrical engineer. In fact, this year I'll be 25 years at the steel mill. So all through those 4 decades, one of my main roles has been developing, leading, and creating good working teams. And that's what the role of the mayor requires me to do in this role if I'm elected. So I think it's really important that we all work together to become a working team for all of the citizens of Newcastle. That's just particularly important. I will make sure that I utilize everybody's skills, listen to everybody, listen to the public, get the public involved. It's a collaborative effort to make our city successful. And as mayor, I'm looking forward to leading a successful team, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
I will now hand out the ballots. We will now proceed with the first ballot. Councilmember Burford votes for Sherlock. Councilmember Sherlock votes for Sherlock. Councilmember Griffin votes for Clark. Councilmember Tallman votes for Clark. Councilmember Lacotia votes for Clark. Councilmember Charbonneau votes for Sherlock. And Councilmember Clark votes for Clark. So that is Sherlock. Sorry, I gotta put them in order here. All right. So that shows 4 votes for Councilmember Clark as for the office of mayor, and 3 votes for Councilmember Sherlock. So that therefore the majority goes to Councilmember Clark. Mayor Clark. Mayor Clark, you are now the chair of this meeting. And the next order of business would be election of the deputy mayor. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, council members. I appreciate the vote of support. And I look forward to serving as the mayor of the whole community, not just this council and not just a select few. All right, we're gonna vote for deputy mayor now. So the same process will occur. We'll start with nominations. Anybody would like to make a nomination for somebody as deputy mayor?
I nominate Councilmember Fresno Lahotia.
Councilmember Lacotia, thank you. Any more nominations?
I nominate Councilmember Sherlock for the office of deputy mayor.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, seeing no other nominations, the nominations are closed, and we'll again go in order of position for making any more remarks you'd like to make for the position of deputy mayor. Councilmember Sherlock, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again, Councilmember Burford, for the nomination. I humbly accept, and I would be honored to continue the role of Deputy Mayor of Newcastle. As I said before, if elected Deputy Mayor, I pledge to be fair, inclusive, and approachable to all of you and the public. I've spent the last 2 years watching the mayor closely during council meetings and learning how to run the meetings efficiently and fairly. I believe the role of deputy mayor is to support the mayor during the meetings by helping keep track of where we are in the agenda and alert the mayor when council members raise their hand to speak, but the mayor may be looking in another direction. As deputy mayor, I would be eager to help the mayor communicate clearly with the council as a whole and the public when appropriate. I believe one of my strongest skills is fostering collaboration with the goal of reaching consensus as much as possible. I'm asking for your vote, and I look forward to accomplishing great things for our city together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lacotia.
Thank you, Councilmember Griffin, for the nomination. I've been in the council for a couple of years now, and I have learned a lot, and I know what to fix and how to fix. It will be my privilege to work alongside our mayor. We have a talented group of individuals here. You know, an expert engineer on board. We have a CPA with years and years of experience, myself with finance and strategy skills. We have a newly elected member with strong business background and a passion for public safety. It'll be an honor to work and leverage each other's skills. Together, we will be able to make some sound decisions for our city. What I want to say is, for the first time, you will see that decisions here will be made keeping the citizens in mind, because citizens are going to be our priority. So Newcastle, this is People's Council. This is your council. This is your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lakotia. City Clerk, please pass out the ballots.
All right, I will now read aloud the votes. Councilmember Burford voted for Sherlock. Councilmember Sherlock voted for Sherlock. Councilmember Griffin voted for Lakotia. Councilmember Tallman voted for Lakotia. Councilmember Lakotia voted for Lakotia. Councilmember Charbonneau voted for Sherlock. And Mayor Clark voted for Lakotia. So that is 4 votes for now Deputy Mayor Lakotia.
Oh, thank you. Congratulations, Deputy Mayor Lakotia. Okay, moving on in our agenda for this evening, we come to our agenda approval. Are there any objections to approving the agenda as presented? Okay. Show the agenda approved as noted. We are moving on to public comment is our next section. A few things about public comment. Anybody in the audience would like to publicly comment, please sign up on the list. And if there's anybody in the audience that will also be able to publicly comment when we're done in the forum here. You'll have 3 minutes to public comment. You can speak on any topic you'd like. Doesn't necessarily have to be on the agenda. When you come to the podium, you may state your name, please, and your neighborhood, and then we will let you proceed. So I have a list here. If there's any questions when you get to the podium, let me know. First person on the list is Heidi Dean. Please come on up.
Thank you very much. My name is Heidi Dean, and I live across the border in Newport Hills. And the reason that I have interest in what happens in Newcastle is because whatever happens here has the most direct and immediate impact upon my neighborhood. I wanted to welcome our 2 newest council members, Burford and Tallman, and welcome back council members Sherlock and Griffin, and congratulate Mayor Clark and Deputy Mayor Lakotia. I look forward to working with you. I wanted to point out that Newcastle and Newport Hills have a lot in common. We have a common history. Share a major arterial. We share a school district, and we support each other's commercial districts. We also have a lot of common interests, including public safety, economic vibrancy, traffic congestion and transportation issues, affordable housing or the lack of. So I wanted to extend my hand in friendship and encourage increased communication and collaboration between the City of Newcastle and the City of Bellevue, as well as the City of Newcastle and the neighborhood of Newport Hills. Because she's here, I wanted to acknowledge former Councilmember Carol Simpson, because she came to the Bellevue City Council in 2017 and asked for that collaboration and cooperation, and I'm very sorry that my city's government did not take her up on that. And I hope that you will go to them and talk to them and ask for the same thing, and that they will take you up on that. I see a lot of opportunities for us to support each other's businesses and events, to work collaboratively to address crime and safety and the growing homeless population. I did want to comment, I know that you are also updating your comp plan. We're in our second year and we'll be finishing in June, hopefully. I did note in looking at your documents that FutureWise is listed as a stakeholder on par with residents and businesses. And I can't tell you how wrong that is. FutureWise is a non-governmental organization that is driving policy all over the state. And the residents and council should oppose this inappropriate inclusion in your city's stakeholder list. This is your city. You decide what happens and how it grows. So I would really hope that residents would oppose that. Finally, I wanted to remind everybody that the legislative session starts next week, and I hope that you will visit the website for the legislature and familiarize yourself with the pre-filed bills and the impacts that they'll have on your city, whether they be positive or negative. Get involved, send in comments, and call your legislators and tune in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dean. We have Carol Simpson up next. Carol? Thank you, Carol Simpson. There's nobody else signed up on the list. Is there anybody else in the audience who's changed their mind and would like to speak? Please, come on up.
I thought I did sign up on one of the sheets. Anyway. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome counselors. My name is Claudia Hershey. I live in the Newport Woods neighborhood. I was formerly Claudia Scrivenage, past council member a long time ago. I'm here tonight to speak to the comprehensive plan, specifically the transportation element and traffic safety. Briefly, I have over 38 years' experience in transportation engineering with a focus on traffic engineering, transportation planning, and design. I've been a member of the Institute of Transportation Engineers that entire time, and for about at least past a decade on the Washington Safety Committee, where we plan an all-day safety conference every year. And I was on the first cohort to take a test nationally, 275 of us, to become the first cohort of the newly established certified road safety professional. So I'll move on with my comments. And I've sent them in writing to the planning director, but I heard that I need to forward it probably to Scott and Jeff. And before I comment on traffic safety, I do want to acknowledge that the City of Newcastle has done over the years a really, really good job of prioritizing traffic safety improvements and pedestrian and bicycle improvements. It's going very well. In this era, all the cities are really enhancing their transportation policies, and our old plan doesn't have any policies specifically focused on traffic safety, so that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I raised kind of three key points. One is I'd like to see our very local neighborhood streets have the speed limits dropped to 20 miles per hour. Fatalities pretty much drop to 0 by the time you get down to 20 miles per hour. And we're currently at 25. The city of Bellevue is embarking on a citywide effort to readjust all their speed limits, and they'll be collecting a lot of traffic data, so we'll have a good trove of example data to look at. The first road, I've heard from Chris Long at 2 conferences, the first roadway where they're going to drop the speed limit is Coal Creek Parkway. It's going to go from 40 to 35 and match Newcastle's speed limit. And the second effort is, they said likely they will start with the neighborhoods to try to ingrain a culture of driving slow through neighborhoods. The second key point is to take advantage of recent legislation that allows for speed enforcement and traffic safety cameras. There's a lot it's my anecdotal experience, but when one goes through the intersection of Newcastle Way and Coal Creek Parkway, there's a lot of red light running, and that's just one red light running away from a T-bone. And there's a lot of ignoring pedestrians with right turn on red. So I would like to see photo enforcement of that intersection. As a reminder, none of us have a right to drive. State grants us a license to drive. Okay, I'll go really fast. The third one is a fun idea, and Ken Moore does this. There's a good example on the website, but to offer to families safety vests or safety straps for pedestrian visibility at night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hershey. Anybody else in the audience would like to make a comment? Director Bronze, is there anybody online that would like to make a comment? No. Okay, thank you. The public comment is closed. There'll be another public comment at the end of the meeting. Okay. Ceremonial presentations, there are none on our agenda tonight. And now we move on to council comment. So I'll start with Councilmember Charbonneau. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Sorry, I'm very sick, but tonight was important, so I tried to show up to take votes. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to our new council members. And then the only other thing I had was we're not allowed to respond during public comment directly, but for Mrs. Hershey, I talked with our past police chief, and there was some state law that prohibited us from using photo enforcement for traffic cameras. So just responding to that directly, I would love to check in on that, see if that is still the case or if that's changed. And thank you for sharing your ideas, but otherwise I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tallman, what do you have for us?
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, thank you. I just want to say that I'm honored to be chosen to represent the people of Newcastle. I'm looking forward to working with the council, with the staff, and with the citizens of Newcastle and making Newcastle a safer, more sustainable family community. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Councilmember Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. I want to welcome all the people here tonight. It's a pleasure having people in the audience out there. When we sit up here, sometimes it's pretty empty out there and we feel like that we're talking to nobody. So it's nice to have people here that are interested in listening to what we have to say. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Councilmember Griffin. Councilmember Sherlock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to say welcome to the new council members, like everybody else. I really am excited to work with everybody. And I just also wanted to say publicly thank you to my family and close friends for supporting me in being reelected for a second term. It's hard on families, so I want to just put that on the record. And also for coming tonight for the swearing in ceremonies. And speaking of that, I think they left, but just wanted to thank a couple of our legislative delegation who were here. State Senator Lisa Wellman and State Representative Milan Tai were in the audience for the swearing in ceremony. So just want to thank them for all that they do for the city of Newcastle. And last but not least, a new face to the dais is our interim community development director, Erin Fitzgibbons. Welcome. I'm excited to work with you in your new role.
Thank you. Councilmember Burford.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Congratulations for become our mayor. And I look forward working with you all the council members. And also it's my honor to be your council member. And also thank you everyone for coming for this special meeting and today's ceremony. I also echo what Ariana just said. I want to thank you. Thanks our Senator Lisa Wellman and the State Representative Milan Tai out of their busy schedule and coming here. And for all of you, as your elected council member, I will work hard for all of you. I'm going to work for the people who voted for me and including for people who didn't vote for me, because we are all the council members. We are elected by the people. We work for the people. And I look forward for more collaboration with you all. Thank you. Also, I just want to add one more, and I want to thank you, my family. Also, especially I had my primary, and from primary until the general election, it's been such a long journey. I have learned a ton. I have learned, anything I can't learn from any university. I really, really wholeheartedly want to thank my husband, Brad Burford, he's here, and my family. All of them, they came, and my dear friends, and all of you, my dear Newcastle neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burford. Deputy Mayor Lakotia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy New Year to everybody. And I want to extend a very warm welcome to our new members on this board. And also congratulations to our re-elected member. Welcome. Welcome to the council. Thank you.
Add one more. So I want to thank Carol Simpson, our long-time, 3-term former council member. Also Claudia, they also came. I think this is our legacy. I just want to really, really thank you for all the pioneer. You work hard for our city, and for all the council members, and also, Council Member Gordon Gassett. Yeah, thank you for all your service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Normally, later in our agenda, there's a mayor's report section, but we have a brand-new mayor, me, so I'm going to make my comments now during council comment section. A few things that I wanted to bring up to the council. We have a new mayor and deputy mayor, but we also will be having new committee assignments. So after this meeting, I'll be sending out an email with a list of all the committees and the description of each of the committee duties and responsibilities. So I would appreciate if you'd respond to me via email by Friday at 2 p.m. I'll send this all in an email. State what committee you'd like to be on and why, and what do you think your background and educational experience is to warrant you being on that particular committee. Put a first and a second choice, please. You know, list your choices, not just one. I would appreciate that. In our policy manual, there's the mayor has the ability to create ad hoc committees. So, and we'll be talking more about this soon, but we'll be creating an ad hoc finance committee to assist our regular finance committee. This will consist of 5 to 7 members of the public who are interested in helping us look for ways to generate revenue and reduce expenses. So this committee, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, will work with the finance committee to help them that we have an issue with finances and spending, so we want to tackle that. We're going to be having an ad hoc committee on public safety. We'll be talking about this a little more at the planning calendar at the end of this meeting. But again, 5 to 7 members of the public. We have some crime issues in our city. We have developing issues with homelessness, thefts, that kind of thing. We want to get ahead of that by engaging the whole community, whole neighborhoods. So we'll be discussing that at a meeting to be coming up really soon. One of the issues that we've noticed over the last couple of years and really always is communication to the public. It's great that all of you are here tonight. We sure appreciate that very much. But we do know it's a special session that you're here to cheer on the new legislators, and probably next week this will be empty, right? That's unfortunate. So we really want to find ways to communicate with the public beyond the city website and in typical notices. So we're going to be looking at brainstorming how to do that, because we have to get communication from this council, which is your council, out to the public. We're going to be revisiting some issues on homelessness that we discussed last year, and we're going to also be looking at potential town hall times and so on. We'll talk a little bit more about these things at the end during the planning calendar. That's all I have for comments at this time. So moving on, the next thing on our agenda is council committees. The last time we met was December 6th. So have there been anybody that's remaining on the dais here who's been at a council committee meeting that wants to make a report since our last meeting? No. Okay. How about regional committees? No? Okay. All right. The next on our agenda is the Community Activities Commission report. It's attached in the agenda. I won't be reading it unless we have somebody, city manager, to present. No. If you'd like to read the Community Activities Commission report, it is in the agenda package. All right, moving on, city manager report. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Good evening again, council. Mayor Clark, I don't have to get used to that. Mentioned working towards town hall. I do want to just let the council know, just based on conversations we had last year, there seemed to be a fairly overwhelming desire to try Risdon Middle School, and so we'll look at that. In order for that to be successful, we need to, we'll look towards an April town hall so that we can avoid baseball season, which tends to then get in the way of trying to use Risdon Middle School. And so we'll be looking at that, and we'll report back as far as progress and looking at dates and all that. I also just wanted to recognize Aaron Fitzgibbons, our interim community development director. Welcome, Aaron. And then congrats to everybody, Mayor Clark, Deputy Mayor Lacotia, and our re-elected and newly elected members of the council. I look forward to working with you, and thank you for serving. I don't know if I've said it publicly or said it to a few of you individually, but I really like my job, and I don't get to do it without you, and so I appreciate you serving. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Anybody? Okay, thank you, city manager. Moving on, the next is our consent agenda. Any objections or desired changes to the consent agenda? Anybody? Okay, show the consent agenda approved unanimously. Next up is public hearings. We do not have any public hearings scheduled for this evening, excuse me. And the next is unfinished business. We do not have any unfinished or leftover business. Moving on to general business, item 13.1, discussion of state and local fiscal recovery funds, which is the ARPA funds. And City Manager, are you going to start us off with that?
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So we have been working on getting an answer for some time on our spending, and putting in quotes, our ARPA funds. Really, we started questioning what we had done with it after our new finance director started, and whether what we did with the majority of our ARPA funds was that we had declared lost revenue, which we can do. Declaring lost revenue essentially allows us to use our tranche of ARPA funds for any local government expense rather than the specifics that were in that bill. But we still have to spend it. And so the way that we had spent it was by transferring it from the Community Reserve Fund to the general fund and transferring it back. So the question that we've been trying to get out of the state auditor's office is that consider the funds spent, because they have to be spent by 2026. And we finally got the answer back that no, that does not consider the funds spent. When the council adopted the pandemic relief plan last year, they had dedicated $400,000 to the business assistance grants, $250,000 to downtown improvements, and then $2.4 million kept in reserve. Well, we have to spend that. And so the memo in the packet just kind of broke down the money we've received in ARPA funds, and then what's been spent, or at least what we can report as spent up to now, what we have budgeted for 2024, and what that looks like. And so as of 2 days ago, as of the end of 2023, we still needed to spend a little over $2 million of the $3.4 million that we received. We have a few planned transfers out of the cumulative reserve for 2024 where we can identify funds as spent. And if we spent those as planned, at the end of 2024, we would have a little over $1.2 million left to spend. And so we need to decide how we want to spend that additional $1.2 million. It's not something that can stay in reserve beyond 2026. And so we essentially have 2025 and 2026 to decide on how to spend that money. And so something that I'll encourage the council to start thinking about, and I know I've put it out to you in memos and whatnot, but we wanted to put this on for tonight just so that the council was made, the public was made aware. And then I'd encourage the council to think about how we might use those funds. And I would encourage us to, this topic should come back for council discussion and move forward. And so so we've kind of put the summary in that memo as far as where we've been and where we're at right now as far as our ARPA spending. If you have questions or want to know more information or anything, let us know. We can try to get you more information. I think it's fairly basic just because very little of the spending has been on specific things. And so right when we got ARPA, we spent some money on technology upgrades and whatnot. But a lot of it otherwise has been dedicated towards a lack of revenue. And so, it's been dedicated towards COVID expenses. And so it's, but we can, if there's additional information wanted or desired, or if we can explain anything more, please let us know.
Thank you, City Manager. Questions or comments? Councilmember Charbonneau.
I'm getting green. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for preparing this. So I guess I would like to sort of, it's a discussion item, there's no action, but I would like to sort of discuss a little bit and plant the seed for the idea I had here. Knowing that this is what we're working with, I would love to see us sort of use this money to invest in our transportation improvement plan and our capital improvement plan. From a staff work and our own work perspective, there are a lot of projects that are already fleshed out for our roads, for pedestrian safety, for improving the city. I think something, I got to learn from speaking with the former mayor, now council member of Shoreline through some regional committees, was they took all of their ARPA money and used it on one infrastructure project. And they got a much larger allotment than we did as a larger city. And they just had one infrastructure project they were very determined to put their resources into and wanted to get done as a city. And they did it, and it's getting in the process of being done now. I think for me, I think there's a lot of transportation improvement plan and capital improvement plan projects we could accelerate by doing this. The left turn light coming out of the Tapatio QFC parking lot, we moved that up by 2 years. We could move it up further. I think there are sidewalks in places we could add to. And I think, it's a good way for people to be engaged in government as well, because they see that their money is actually going towards something, right? It's very hard to explain what we do a lot of the time, and it can have a very visible and direct impact for folks. I think there's a lot of places in the city that are still not safe to walk, so continuing with sidewalks. And I would love to work with Interim Director Fitzgibbon and Director Bronze to sort of triage and see what of these projects might make sense to use some of this money for. Because I think if we have to spend it, I would like to spend it on things that can positively impact our city, things that people can see, things that people can use and feel. So I'd be happy to take on some of these projects with the Economic and Community Development Committee that I created and sort of chaired this last year. Could be a great avenue to discuss some of these items. And that's what I'd just like to throw out there, and please feel free we can continue to talk about that, but I'd like to plant that seed, per se.
Thank you, Councilmember Charbonneau. Deputy Mayor Lacotia, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some ideas on, where we can spend this money, and we can start those discussions from our Finance Committee. However, I would like to move to return $250,000 reserved for economic development downtown improvement plan of the pandemic relief fund back into the reserve.
Second. Sure. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and seconded to return $250,000 reserved for the economic development downtown improvement plan back to the cumulative reserve fund. Speak to your motion, Councilmember Lacotia.
Thank you. So last time when we discussed, when $250,000 was put into economic development, there were ideas around spending a bunch of money on some signs. And time and again, I kept asking for some kind of analysis, some kind of business case as to how these signs, creating downtown is on the left, gas station is on the right, those kind of signs. How could those kind of signs bring any kind of generate revenue for the downtown or for the businesses or any of that? I did not see any analysis. So I think moving on, anytime we want to spend any money, my goal, and given my financial background and strategy, that's all I have done for the last 20 years, I would like to see a business case. I would like to see some kind of analysis, some kind of data, anytime we want to spend the money. Because we have this $1.2 million in the pandemic relief fund doesn't mean that we can just spend it anywhere and everywhere. We have a lot of infrastructure needs. We have a lot of public safety needs, so we are going to sit together. We have some great minds here. We are going to put those together and come up with ideas on how we can judiciously spend this money and, which would benefit the citizens of Newcastle. Thank you.
Councilmember Tallman, you want to speak to your second?
Yes, I'd just like to clarify that these funds are owned by the citizens of Newcastle, and every dime that we spend on behalf of the citizens will benefit all the citizens of Newcastle.
Councilmember Charbonneau, you got a comment?
Thank you. Yeah, I will not be voting for this motion. I think I'd like to provide some context because I think there's been a bit of a misrepresentation. First and foremost, the signs were requested by business owners, and it was a project that was undergoing in my committee. Some of it has already been spent because we paid the folks to drop a very small amount to draw up a design for these signs. These signs are going to be nowhere near 250,000. I would be surprised if they were maybe 25,000 at most. I think it's kind of unfortunate that this is being brought up and they're trying to essentially kill a project when we're in transition from the person that was working on the project. I guess I would ask for a little grace